can see he is fourth in the championship. Leading it is the man who we now think of as a veteran, Keith Hewen, and down there on the grid we have got a mighty assembly of machinery. The weather conditions, I'm glad to say, although we were expecting rain at Thruxton, are absolutely first class. The course is dry, the skies are a bit overcast, but perfectly okay for racing. So there are the first two rows, but after the parade lap they don't necessarily come back in that order. Those are the front and second rows definitely. They won't necessarily be in that order when they line up. So Trevor Nation, there is the local man, comes from Tidworth. He's riding a Works 5-valve 4-cylinder Yamaha, and these bikes produce about 110 brake horsepower and they will do 150 miles an hour. It is a special formula for 750cc four-stroke machines of 4 approved types. Well, there is one of them. That's young Terry Reimer, 20 years old, comes from Lee Green in London. He won the first 2 rounds here of the championship, the Motorcycle News EBC Brakes Superstock Championship. The lap record, incidentally, is jointly held by Keith Hewen there, number 16, Steve Parrish, who's now his team manager, and Richard Scott, who's riding in the Yamaha Works team this year in Grand Prix racing. And that's 1 minute 26.1 seconds, a speed of 98.6 miles an hour in Barry Nutley, a very interesting formula.
It certainly is, Murray, and as you say, a certain type of machine allowed to compete, and it basically consists of just one main machine from each of the big 4 Japanese manufacturers, 750cc's. The original chassis and engine has to be retained for racing, but it can be modified, though major components cannot be replaced. So a very intricate formula, but what the crux of the matter is that the main engine has to be retained, and that is one which the average rider can buy over the counter.
So we're going round Thruxton now, exiting Seagrave. That left-hander that they're coming up to at the top of the course is Kimpton. That leads into a right-hander, which is Goodwood, and in turn that is followed by the fastest part of this course, the section through Village, the right-hander at Church, which they are on approaching now, the left-hander at Brooklands, and they will be doing some 140 miles an hour in the race on their 110 brake horsepower machines. Now the left-hander, that's Brooklands there, and then they come down to the section where positions can change as they approach the chicane. Right, left, right, Trevor Nation there. This is, of course, the parade lap and not the race. They've still got to come up to the grid and then be shown a 30-second board. And paradoxically, 30 seconds does not mean what it says. It means anything from about nothing to 15 seconds to 30 seconds, and normally they go off about 15 seconds after the ball. So the fancied men are very much Trevor Nation, who is on the 4-cylinder 5-valve Works Yamaha, Phil Mellor, who is well up in the championship in 4th place, and the leader of the championship of course is Keith Hewen, so he's a man that we've got to watch. Terry Reimer, all these are on Yamahas, Nation's on a Yamaha, and Reimer and Keith Hewen. Then Roger Hurst, another very quick rider on a Yamaha, and there's the grid. So Trevor Nation, Steve Chambers, number 6, and there are, as I said earlier on, 54 bikes down there. You can expect an absolutely tearing start, and then they'll obviously get considerably spread out. But that 750cc Metzler production race that you saw was pretty typical of the motorcycle racing you get not only at Thruxton but anywhere else. So, reading from left to right, number 6 is Steve Chambers on the Yamaha. Then alongside him, the fancied man Keith Hewen. Then beside Hewen is Terry Reimer, and then beside, well, it's go, away they go, and it is a superb start for Keith Hewen and Roger Hurst, 16 and 19, round the right-hander at Allard, then they sweep left, then they're down to the complex, and in the lead is Keith Hewen, the man who won in the wet at Cadwell. Behind him in second place is Roger Hurst, number 19. In third position, it's Terry Reimer, number 15. So it is Yamaha, Yamaha, Yamaha. And watching the blue leathers, Terry Reimer. That is the man to watch. He's only 20 years old, and he's taking the lead. Reimer goes through and takes the lead. And that was, Barry Nutley, a fantastic bit of riding by the young Londoner.
Seems to have staked his claim fairly early on in this race, halfway around the first lap, stormed into the lead. All the riders, I would imagine, are counting their blessings the weather's been kind to us today, because this circuit can be notoriously treacherous when it rains. One of the Superstocks riders told me yesterday that at the last meeting here at Thruxton, in a straight line at the 140-mile-an-hour climb up towards Brooklands Bend, the back end skipped out under sheer power. Now, that can't be funny, so they're lucky it's dry.
Terry Reimer leads, Keith Hewen is second, and Reimer has won well over 150 races in his short career. So it's Reimer, the youngster, against 30-year-old veteran Keith Hewen, is challenging for the lead as they go into the second lap. In third position, it's Roger Hurst, so it's still the three Yamahas in the first three positions. Well, Reimer is very definitely the man to watch, the sensational winner of the Brands Hatch first round. He's had a go on 500cc Grand Prix racing machinery, a Suzuki, but in his own words, it cost too much, and I've got plenty of time to learn. And he's using all the experience that he's had so far this season very well indeed. He was first at Brands Hatch, first at Mallory. He took a fourth place in the series, and Phil Mellor in fourth position, followed by Steve Chambers and Terry Nation, complete the six that we expected to see dominating this race. But I must say that I did not expect to see number 15, Terry Reimer, there out in the lead as much as he is. This is lap 2. It's a 10-lap race, each lap 2.36 miles long, so just under 24 miles for the entire race. Well, I wonder how Terry Reimer is going in comparison with the lap record. We'll see in a minute, because I will put the stopwatch on them as they cross the line to complete the second lap. So it's Reimer leading as they come out of the chicane. Then it is Keith Hewen. Over the line, Reimer goes. Now, Hewen is down into third position, and Mellor has taken second place. Phil Mellor has moved up into second place.
Phil Mellor took 2 places in that last swoop through the chicane. A brilliant effort for him. He's really piling on the coals now. A bit of a wobble there as he goes into the right-hander, but he's got Terry Reimer firmly in his sights, throwing the big bike from right to left. Mellor in second.
Look at Phil Mellor then. 3 times a TT winner, the British champion in the 125, 250, Formula 2 and production classes, a win in the series, 2 second places, and today he's right on top of his form. He's finished second in the 750cc class already, and he's going for victory in this Motorcycle News EBC Break Superstock event, which is round 7 out of 10. And Reimer and Mellor are pulling away. Reimer from Lee Green in London, Mellor from Huddersfield, and look at the gap behind them. Up to 140 miles an hour, and Mellor is going to try and go through on the inside of the chicane, and he does it. Phil Mellor takes the lead from Terry Reimer as they come through to complete lap 3. Keith Hewen is dropping back. Now, the lap record is 126.1, and Reimer has just gone round in 125.4. So, unofficially, and I emphasise it's my time and not officially, there is a new lap record for Terry Reimer, and therefore for Phil Mellor, because now the Huddersfield rider is out in front, 31-year-old Phil Mellor of the Heron Suzuki. Suzuki leads, Yamaha in second place. In third position, now it is Gary Noel from Frimley, the ex-250cc European champion on the Yamaha. In fourth position, it's Roger Hurst. In 5th position, it's Trevor Nation, the local rider, and in 6th place, it's Keith Ewan. So Keith Ewan is well down compared with what we expected.
I don't really know what happened to him. He was storming on and then dropped back. But Trevor Nation there, you said in 5th place. Now that's good. He comes from just down the road, Shipton Bellinger, near Tidworth, and has circulated Thruxton many, many times and would have been looking for a win today. So maybe Trevor Nation's got something up his sleeve. He's still got 7 laps to go, sitting there in 5th place. But Phil Mellor, the undisputed leader at this stage, Terry Reimer in 2nd, and Gary Knoll there in 3rd.
Well, unless Trevor Nation's got something other than his arm up his sleeve, he better produce it, because he is well down at the moment. Coming through to complete the lap over the line now. Phil Mellor leads. It's still Reimer 2nd. It's still Knoll in 3rd position. It's Trevor Nation in 4th place, so he is producing something. He has moved up as Trevor Nation, but there's quite a gap. This is lap 5 in this 10-lap race, half distance, unofficially a lap record for Terry Reimer, which was broken, according to my timing, by number 10, Phil Mellor, the man that you are looking at. Mellor's riding in 4 classes here today, and his machines, being the Heron Suzuki official machines, are immaculately turned out. And Terry Reimer is having a real run for his money now from Gary Knoll in 3rd position, right on the rear wheel of the Londoner. There on the left is Terry Reimer in 2nd place on the Yamaha, followed by Gary Knoll, who used to ride the 250cc Exact World bike with its incredible frame construction. But now he's on a 4-cylinder, 5-valve per cylinder Yamaha, as is Reimer. And meantime, they're giving the leader, Phil Mellor, the opportunity to break away, and up into 2nd place goes Gary Knoll. Now, can he do anything about Phil Mellor, and what is Phil Mellor's lap time as he crosses the line? 1 minute 23.8. 1 minute 23.8 compared with the lap record of 1:26.1. That is how fast Phil Mellor is going. Watch the way he heels the bike right over onto the sidewalls of the tyres. You wouldn't think that it could possibly continue to hold the track, but it does. Race order, lap 6, Mellor leads. In 2nd place, Knoll. In 3rd place, Reimer. In 4th place, Nation. In 5th position is Nichols, and in 6th position is Mark Phillips, whose nickname, not surprisingly, is Captain, and he is on the Ron Grant 360-degree crankshaft Honda 4, but Mark Phillips, who is in 6th position, is new to 4-stroke racing. This is only his 2nd 4-stroke race, and down in 10th position as you look at the battle for 2nd between Gary Knoll in the white helmet and Terry Reimer in the red one. Keith Ewan, the championship leader, is in only 10th place.
You mentioned tyres there a while ago, Murray. Interesting enough, the formula permits any make of tyre provided it's readily available. It can be a racing tyre, and I see that most of the riders have opted for the new Michelin radials, which have a section width of 180 millimetres, to the average man in the street over 7 inches. That is a terrifically wide rear tyre on these machines, and that's wider than the average man has on his motor car, so that could well explain the way they stick to the road the way they do.
There is the race leader, Phil Mellor, on his 7th lap in this 10-lap race. He's got a new lap record, according to my unofficial hand timing, at 1:23.8, which is over 2 seconds faster than the previous lap record, held jointly by Richard Scott, Keith Ewan and Steve Parrish. So he is really flying. And there is Mark Phillips, out of his second race on a 4-stroke machine, as the leader, and the 2nd and 3rd place battle goes on around Thruxton. So you can see the gap now between Phil Mellor, the leader, between Gary Knoll, 2nd there, and Terry Reimer. What a terrific scrap they're having. Here's Miller. Well, Phil Mellor can control the race from the front now. The question is who is going to be 2nd. And there's a difference, as far as they are concerned, of 2 points in the championship, because you get 12 points for second place and 10 points for third place. And at the moment, it's number 2, Gary Noel, on the 12 points for second place. And Terry Reimer, the 20-year-old Londoner, on those 10 points for third. Look back and you'll see the battle as Reimer goes for it, but Noel is on the inside. He won't get through there. Meantime, Phil Mellor is well away on his 8th lap in this 10-lap race. Now, there's the battle for second and third. What is going on behind them? The first 3 are through. Now, here come Noel and Reimer. Now look at the gap before the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th go through. And in 4th position, and it's a great achievement, is Keith Nichols on the Yamaha. Well, there he is, Nichols on the Yamaha in 4th position. And they're getting pretty strung out. Compared with the 750cc production race, to my great surprise, I'll be quite honest, this super stock race is getting a bit strung out. Phil Mellor well in the lead in the closing stages of his 8th lap. In fact, he's just going into his 9th lap now, and the gap between Mellor in the lead and Noel and Reimer as they go across the line is 7.5 seconds. So Phil Mellor can really take his time now.
It does look to me, from where I'm standing, Murray, that Yamaha and Suzuki do appear to be the quicker machines, albeit a fairly even formula. An absence of Kawasaki that might be rectified within the coming season, because the Kawasaki boss of the motocross effort, one Alec Wright, has been given the task of getting Kawasaki road racing on its feet for the coming season. I think we'll see a return to Grand Prix racing from Kawasaki, and also an injection into Super Stocks class. So that's something for us to look forward to. But meanwhile, Mellor on his Yamaha, and this fellow now, Gary Noel, on his Yamaha, having a terrific tussle. Terry Reimer, the Londoner, hasn't given up though, and Noel looked a little bit ragged at one stage.
Yes, with no disrespect to Noel, keep your eyes on Terry Reimer. He's only 20 years old. He's got a very keen father who does everything he can to help his son in his motorcycle racing career. And I think he's got a great career in front of him, because he is a very level-headed, sensible, mature young man who realises that at 20 years of age, he's still got a lot of time in front of him. Keith Ewan, by the way, the championship leader, must be in some kind of trouble, because he's right down now in 11th place, and Phil Mellor is through. The first 3 are now on their last lap, and here is Phil Mellor, one of the top riders of the day, not only here at Thruxton, but in any kind of national racing in Britain. And he's doing his chances in the championship no harm at all, because Ewan is not even going to score a point, the championship leader at the moment. Phil Mellor is going to get 15 points, which will put him up into 2nd place, 3rd position behind Terry Reimer, who will move up to 2nd, with Andy McGladdery, who is in 2nd place in the championship, watching us, I think, from hospital with his injured knee. Come back soon, Andy. So Phil Mellor almost home. He's had a 2nd place already today, and you've seen it. Now he is coming into the closing stages of this 2.36 mile lap at Thruxton to win the Shell Oil's King of Thruxton meeting Superstock race. He's out of the chicane. The checkered flag is out. Phil Mellor wins and gives a triumphant shake of his fist. Very, very happy man. And the seconds are still ticking away as we wait for the 2nd and 3rd men to come across the line. And here they are. It's Gary Noel finishing in 2nd place, with Terry Reimer in 3rd position. So Noel managed to hold the Londoner off right to the closing stages of the race, with in 4th position Trevor Nation, in 5th position Keith Nichols, and in 6th place was Roger Hurst. But to recap, there is the winner. There is the man who has taken 15 points to move up in the championship, and it is, of course, Phil Mellor, the winner on his Heron Suzuki.
Great afternoon so far for Phil Mellor. Superbike race over the last half hour, so how will that affect the prospects? Barry Nutley and Murray Walker can tell us.
Well, I'm delighted to say that the rain has actually held off, and it looks as though this Super 1 or Superbike, whichever you like to call it, round 6 out of the 9 championship rounds is going to be held on dry roads. 500cc two-stroke machines or 1300cc four-stroke, and captain on his chest is the nickname of Mark Phillips, who is one of the fancied riders. He's on a 500cc four-cylinder Suzuki, 4th in the championship. But another very fancied man is the multiple British champion, number 11, Roger Marshall. There he is from Rugby, TT rider. He's won the Donington, Cadwell and Knockhill rounds of this championship. Here is the man of the day so far, Phil Mellor, who has won 2 of the rounds and finished 2nd in the 750cc production race, and has also created 2 new lap records. These bikes are the fastest of all today, 150 horsepower, and with the right gearing and the right circumstances, as they get away on their parade lap, their final warm-up lap, these bikes can do 190 miles an hour. Not here at Thruxton. They'll only, in quotes, be doing about 165 miles an hour at Thruxton. And if you want to buy one and you've got £20,000 lying around, you could, I suspect, do a deal. The lap record is held by Wayne Gardner, the man who we know has won the Czech 500cc Grand Prix today to virtually clinch the World Championship for the first time, this popular Australian. And his lap record here in the Formula 1 class, because this Super 1 is a new class for 1987, 1 minute 25, 99.78 miles an hour. But that speed has already been bettered in 2 of the classes today, which would be slower than this one, provided the rain holds off. So remember that figure, 1 minute 25 seconds. Roger Marshall leading the championship. Phil Mellor, the man to watch today, in 2nd place. Ray Swan, who's not riding here this afternoon, is 3rd. And then Paul Idden and Mark Phillips a long way behind in 4th place. So Marshall, who would look to be in a very strong position in the championship, is not actually as firmly ensconced in the lead as he may appear to be, because he's got to miss the next round in order to take part in another event, and that'll give Mellor the opportunity to close up, provided he does well here today. Barry Nutley, an interesting formula like all of them here this afternoon.
Yeah, I think without a doubt the pièce de résistance of today's activities, particularly in the strength of talent we've got. Just about everybody who's anybody here today is out in this race. Roger Marshall, you gave a particularly glowing dossier to, and we were here in practice when Marshall came past pulling a wheelie, and for the uninitiated, that is hooking the bike into a higher gear. He got the front up and he rode past the pit area with the front wheel about 3 feet in the air, one-handed, signalling to his pit crew. Now there's confidence for you, so we're looking for big things from Marshall.
With that distinctive white star, which is his trademark. On occasions he wears an earring to match, which doesn't actually look like Roger Marshall, but it is. 36-year-old Roger Marshall from Rugby. And there is Phil Mellor, number 10, who is, as I said, in 2nd place in the championship. He's had a marvellous afternoon, and he's having a marvellous season of racing. So as the official with the board clears the grid, it's about 15 seconds to the beginning of this 12-lap, 25-mile race, and into the lead with a surge of power goes Roger Hurst, number 19 on the 750 Yamaha. Look for Marshall's distinctive black helmet with the white star and the green leathers. He's in 4th position at the present moment, with coming up very fast indeed Mark Phillips, number 49 on the Suzuki, and that looks like John Lofthouse on the inside, number 22 it is John Lofthouse, who went very well indeed in the initial race this afternoon, finished in 3rd place. So a terrific ride already by Mark Phillips, who turned out for only his 2nd ride on a 4-stroke earlier on. And now it looks as though we've got a change for the lead already, with 1, 2, 3, about the first 10 of them coming out of the right-hander at Goodwood, down to Village. From Village they go on to Church. This is where they build up to the fastest part of the circuit, with the picturesque buildings in the background. And they're streaming round the right-hander down to the chicane. And so, with about less than a second over the first 6, Mark Phillips leads number 4. In second place, it is Roger Marshall. Now, Marshall is on an 1100cc Suzuki, and that is Morrison, Brian Morrison, Suzuki, out of the race, and Morrison, of course. And Mark Phillips leads, Roger Marshall in second place, number 11. Roger Hurst on the 750 Yamaha in third position. Mark Phillips comes from Eagle near Lincoln, ex-farmer, Formula One British champion of 1986. But he's got his time cut out now to keep Roger Marshall behind him.
Yeah, and Hurst sitting there nicely in third, Murray. Hurst was a bit of a dark horse, and we saw him ride quite well in the super stocks, but Hurst still there in third. There's a long way to go in this race. A 12-lap race, they've only just come round after the first one. Marshall poised in second.
Now, let's have a look at what happened to Brian Morrison as we replay the incident. Brian Morrison, then number 30, a lap record here today. He's at the back here. Now watch for a bike. There he goes, sliding away across the grass. And once your bike leaves the tarmac and goes on the grass, it actually goes faster because there is absolutely no resistance at all. So now back to the race, back to lap 2 in this 12-lap event as Roger Marshall takes the lead. Marshall on the Suzukis, which have been all conquering here at Thruxton this afternoon. Eric McFarlane won the 750 race. Phil Mellor won the Superstock race. Marshall is leading now the Super 1 race from Mark Phillips. So it's a 4-stroke Suzuki in the lead. It's a 2-stroke Suzuki in second place. And in third position, it is yet another Suzuki, that of Phil Mellor. Well, these are some of the top national riders of the day. The Grand Prix riders are not here, of course, because they're in Czechoslovakia. And Mark Phillips is now weaving around behind the back of Roger Marshall's Suzuki with the yellow flags waving as a warning there. They're to look out for something. What they're looking out for is to find the fastest racing line, the best place to apex the corner. And the first 3 virtually together. Anybody's race, Marshall leading. Phillips in second place, and Mellor trying to go through and take Phillips, and he does so. Not quite. Phillips on the inside, and now Mellor has got the opportunity, but it gives you a perfect example of how the 2 strokes and the 4 strokes are closely matched as Mellor takes Phillips.
And of course Mellor's got an advantage over Marshall in that he's been around here several times today. Marshall's not been out until today, this particular race. He just had practice, 4 laps of practice. So Phil Mellor has a distinct advantage, and he's putting that to good use. Winding Marshall in now as they come into Allard, away from our commentary point.
Roger Marshall has so very much experience. Put him on the TT course and he'll do well. Put him at Cadwell, which is about the most extreme end of the scale compared with the TT that I can think of, and he will do well. Put him at Thruxton, a fast, open circuit, and he'll do well. And isn't Mark Phillips doing well? Look at him, back into second place ahead of Mellor. The first 3 absolutely together. 3 Suzukis, 1 2-stroke, 2 4-strokes. The veteran Roger Marshall in the lead, multi-British champion. The man who has ridden for Honda, who's ridden for Suzuki before this year, who rode for the Moriwaki Japanese concern, which was the outfit that Wayne Gardner made his debut with. And now Mark Phillips leads. The 500cc 4-cylinder machine of Mark Phillips goes past Roger Marshall's 1100cc 4-cylinder 4-stroke and into the lead on lap 4. And 4th, 5th and 6th, Roger Hurst, Steve Henshaw from Jacksdale, and behind Steve is Gary Knoll. Gary Knoll, who rode an absolutely superb race in the 1300cc production event earlier on this afternoon, and Roger Marshall has just gone round in 1 minute 24.78, which, according to my unofficial hand timing, is another lap record here at Thruxton this afternoon, beating Wayne Gardner's lap record in the formula, in the class, of 1 minute 25 seconds. So, unofficially, new lap record for Marshall, the leader. Phil Mellor in second place. Mark Phillips in second position. Then it's still Hurst, Steve Henshaw and Gary Knoll. Gary Knoll on a Yamaha. Henshaw is on a Suzuki.
Well, they're riding brilliantly. The fourth, fifth and sixth man not in sight at all now. These three having their own battle, which they have to be enjoying. They have to be loving this. They're so close.
Yeah, and just think about it. They've each got something like 150 horsepower at their command. They are riding at 150 to 160 miles an hour on the fastest part of the course. You see in the background there, Roger Hurst in fourth position, but there's a long, long gap behind them. And the trust between these three top men has to be complete. No ragged riding, no stupid riding, safe, very fast and tremendously spectacular. Here they come to complete another lap now. That's the end of lap 5. This is a 12-lap race. There in the background, you just saw the flash of the white helmet of Roger Hurst in fourth position. There are the first three. Now, look back and you'll see Roger Hurst in fourth position. There he is. In fifth place behind him is still Steve Henshaw, and then behind him it is still Gary Knoll. There they go. 19, Roger Hurst is... That's Steve Henshaw in the red leathers. This is fourth, fifth and sixth that you're looking at. Steve Henshaw sandwiched between the other two. The last of the three is number 2, Gary Knoll, on the 750cc Yamaha. I say again, the 750cc Yamaha, because a lot of the riders are on 1100cc or 1000cc machines. And 19 is Roger Hurst in fourth position. 27 there behind him is Steve Henshaw from Jacksdale, Roger Hurst from Aylesbury, third at Cadwell Park. And all the time there is Gary Knoll on his own, but inching up. And all the time still the lead battle continues. There's the veteran Steve Henshaw. He's ridden in Macau, ridden in the Transatlantic Trophy team for Britain 3 times. And they're coming, there's about 7 seconds between the battle for the lead there, between those 3 men, and the battle for fourth position with Steve Henshaw.
Fairly strung out now, Murray, apart from those first 3 away on their own. You can see how the field is strung out.
Roger Marshall still leading from Phil Mellor with Mark Phillips, but not a lot in it. This is lap 7. And Phil Mellor has just gone round in 1 minute 24 seconds, a full second faster than the lap record held by Wayne Gardner until this afternoon. That was a speed of 99.8 miles an hour. So we certainly have a 100 mile an hour plus lap record by Phil Mellor, who has now done a lap record in the Super Stocks, a lap record in the 750, a lap record in the Super 1, but now he no longer holds a lap record because Roger Marshall has just broken it. Number 11, Roger Marshall in the lead with Phil Mellor in his wheel tracks, has gone round at well over 100 miles an hour, 123.8. Here he comes. Marshall, Mellor, Phillips over the line, and in the process they lapped Dave Rope's Kawasaki. They've lapped Rope in 7 laps. You would think, Barry, that the sheer grunt, the sheer animal power of the 4-cylinder 1100cc 4-strokes would be able to see off the 500cc 2-stroke, but it's not the case. There is Mark Phillips in the middle, second place.
Well, personally, I wouldn't have associated Phillips in the same category as we have the leader and of course Phil Mellor. Roger Marshall, British champion, as you say, but Phillips is really going well on that 500 and he's making it buzz.
Yet another lap record, and as Mark Phillips takes the lead with Mellor in third position. Mellor has a new lap record, 1:23.6. It started off at 1:25, Wayne Gardner, then Mellor, 1:24, then Marshall, 1:23.8. Now Mellor again, 1:23.6, and Mark Phillips has passed both of them. So surely he must have shattered the lap record too. Lap 8, 12-lap race, 2/3 distance completed through the chicane, out of it, over the line. Phillips, Marshall, and Mellor struggling along on his own. Now in fourth position, Steve Henshaw. You're looking at the leaders. Fifth is Roger Hurst behind Henshaw, and in sixth position it is Gary Knoll. But this is the interest of the race, and what a race. 24-year-old Mark Phillips from Lincoln, the professional racing rider, 6 years experience, Formula One British champion of 1986, having been second in the 250 British Championship in 1985. New lap record. Guess who? Number 4, Mark Phillips, taking the lead, 1:23. He has knocked 0.6 of a second off the lap record, which had been held briefly by Phil Mellor. Mark Phillips is riding an absolutely superlative race. Watch him go on the 500cc 4-cylinder water-cooled Suzuki. Marshall goes through, takes the lead. Phil Mellor in the background. This is lap 9. 3 laps to go at the end of this one.
I think, Murray, that's where the superior power of Marshall's machine showed. Up that long climb, coming up towards the chicane, he came past purely on power there. The 500 Suzuki was found wanting just a little at that point.
1:22.99. I say we'll wait and see what the officials say, and that's Roger Marshall. And if I'm right, it's yet another lap record. Each of the riders you're looking at as Mark Phillips takes the lead have broken the lap record in this race. As they flick the bike from left bank to right bank and back again, Marshall goes through and takes the lead from Phillips. Mellor is hanging on there. Question mark. As they come up to lap tail enders, is Phil Mellor playing a waiting game? And Marshall has absolutely shattered the new lap record of Mark Phillips. He's gone round 0.6 of a second faster. 1:22.4. That is nearly 3 seconds faster than Wayne Gardner's lap record from last year. But Mark Phillips is on his way. Lap 10, 2 laps to go at the end of this one. Mark Phillips, number 4, leads Marshall, number 11, who is coming up fast with Mellor in the background. Into the chicane. Left, right. Having cleared the right-hander which leads into it. Over the line. Still Phillips leading. Still Marshall second. Still Mellor in third position. Henshaw is just crossing the line in fourth place. As you look at the leaders going into the complex, the right-hander at Campbell, the left-hander at Cobb, the right-hander at Seagrave, out of it and on to Goodwood. Now the speed starts to build up as they go round the long right-hander at Village towards the sweeping left-hander at Church, then on to Brooklands. They're approaching Church now, they being Mark Phillips in the lead, number 4 on the 500 Suzuki, multiple British champion Roger Marshall, the 36-year-old veteran, who's going to go round the outside and fail to take the lead. With Phil Mellor in third position. There's just 1 lap to go at the end of this one. What a super race. Marshall leads, Phillips second, Mellor third. Now Mellor is starting to make his challenge. Phil Mellor has sized them up. He's seen where they change down. He's seen where they brake. He's seen where they bank. He's watched their racing line and he's going for it. Marshall, Phillips, Mellor as one. Mellor into second place. Phillips back into second place. Marshall leads. This is the start of the 12th and last race of this Shell Oil's well-named King of Thruxton Super 1 race, and what a super race it is. So, Marshall, now as they come up to the right-hander at Campbell, Marshall has got a bit of a lead, and I think Marshall has got it. left-hander at Cobb. This tail-ender should not get in the way. There's bags of room to pass on motorcycles. And mercifully, the rain is kept off. We've had this marvellous, record-shattering lap after lap by 3 superb riders event. And there's the tail-ender. Marshall is past him. He's got his opportunity. And Marshall is breaking away a bit because Phillips got to ride round the outside and Mellor still has not taken him, but Phillips is closing on Marshall. Mellor is through on the inside. This is the right-hander at Village. Now to Church. There. Still Henshaw in 4th position. Roger Hurst is 5th. Trevor Nation has moved up into 5th position. But this is Mark Phillips' last opportunity to take number 11, Roger Marshall, and win this Super 1 race, because they're coming to the chicane and Marshall will have a better acceleration out of it than Phillips. And it's going to be Marshall's race. Marshall wins, and the gap between Marshall, the winner, and Steve Henshaw in 3rd position, as Marshall looks over his shoulder, was 0.5 of a second. Half a second separated the first 3 in this quite magnificent race. Victory for multiple British champion Roger Marshall, who has thus added 15 points to the 65 he already had to extend his championship lead, with the knowledge that he's going to miss the next round. In 2nd position, Mark Phillips. In 3rd position, Phil Mellor, all of them on Suzukis, with Steve Henshaw in 4th position, with Trevor Nation in 5th position on the Yamaha, and in 6th place, Roger Hurst. But Roger Marshall has been the man of the race.